Hey y'all! For the first craft, we're gonna make some potion bottles. These are from Michaels. They're by Ashland. They were buy one get or no, I'm sorry, buy two get one free from Springtime. And I figured we could make these into some potion bottles. So I've got some Deco Art paints here. One is lavender and one is called like Drexamine. Or it's some odd color, but these little trays with the three bottles attached are still available. So I'll put the little link to them in the description. But I put a little bit of each color in there, and then I added some rubbing alcohol. And my thought behind this, because I've never done this before, is I'm thinking that if I do this and swirl it around, the paint's going to stick to the glass because it's the multi-surface paint. So since these don't come with any kind of corks or lids or anything, I put a little plastic bag over and some rubber bands, and I'm just swooshing it all around, and I am surprised because look at how good this looks. And I think I have a friend that has used I want to say they're called like ink paints or something like that. They're also at Michael's, and she paints seashells. I think that would probably work really well too. You may not have to do like the additional alcohol, but you just swirl around and keep adding to get the coverage that you want. So obviously, if you want it to be not as clear or see-through, you're going to keep adding. But look at how awesome! Let's play with some more colors. For the greens, I'm using Folk Art Citrus Green and Craft Smart Apple Tart, since those are what I have. And I'm mixing these. I did learn last time it needs more paint than I initially thought. So I'm going pretty generous on this, maybe, 3 to 5 second squirts in there, and then adding in the alcohol. With the alcohol, I'm adding a little bit at a time, and you'll see it pulling at the bottom. Oh, I think those things are actually called alcohol paints that my friend uses, by the way. But I'm rubber banded up, and same thing. We're going to tip this and shake it all around to get some good coverage all around this bottle. Once I've got this to where I want it to be as far as coverage, I'm just turning it up. I leave it upside down for about 5 minutes to get all the excess alcohol out of there. And then I'm moving on to my third bottle, which I'm doing like a silver. And those I'm using Craft Smart Silver and Deco Art Metallics Shimmering Silver, and repeating the process. Once I got all that silver swirled around, I got to do the same thing and leave it turned over for a few minutes to get that excess alcohol out. I'm liking this so far, so now let's tackle the outside. For the outside and the bottom of the inside, I'm just using a Folk Art Black, and it's a multi-surface, so it'll stick to anything. And of course, these don't have any kind of lids, so in order to make these more spooky and so they don't look just like empty bottles for anyone looking over top-wise, I'm taking some sheets of paper here, and I'm just kind of making like a rough cut of a circle. This part won't matter because we're going to be adding like some twine and things like that just to decorate the top. So you just need the paper to start with, and then take some hot glue and put the hot glue all around the rim. When you're adding that hot glue all around too, it doesn't need to be the prettiest thing ever. It's just to seal it up. And then, of course, we don't want that white to be sticking out and looking all crazy. So we're going to take a little bit more of our paint, and you can use whatever color you'd like. Of course, I'm just using the black that I had already used for the tray itself. And I'm doing all around the paper and also painting the hot glue. So far, so good. So I'm just adding some twine. I started with a little drop of glue to keep it in place, and I'm just twisting it all around underneath that cap. And then once you're ready to finish that off, just cut it and do another little dot of glue just under your end to keep it nice and tight, but it looks like an old wax seal to me. Check it out, y'all. Looks pretty cool if I do say so myself. And you can also add little charms if you have them. I didn't have any. I didn't find any store that I liked, but you can add little moons and add crystals on the top. Just make it your own. Now I'm going to take some of this deer moss, and I have all kinds of different little colors here because I usually get these in my Michael's grab bags. So I've got like a purple, a brownish gray, a turquoise, and then I have my just regular old natural color moss that I got in the floral section. I'm just going to take a little bit of each one, and I'm going to push that down and use my hot glue to help secure it in. This is going to not only fill it in some, but it's also going to help to hide like any imperfections, because of course these bottles in this particular tray are not removable. They're adhered to it. So when you paint the bottom of it, you're going to inevitably get a little bit of paint on the bottoms of the bottle. So it helps to mask that too, but it also just gives it a more finished look, and in my opinion helps to make it a little more witchy cottagey. But this is our last little zhuzhin, and then we are wrapping this one up. For our next project, we've got to customize this sign because I'm doing Glamoween, so it doesn't quite go. So I'm using my Mirror Effects spray paint, and I want this to be more of a transition and contrast from one color to the next, because we have these black bats, black spider webs, and all the lettering is black. And of course, you can customize these in any color that you want. I think this will be awesome in traditional black and orange as well. But I've got everything taped off that I want to remain black, and then I spray the mirrored effects. And if you're going for a silver, if you see here, the mirrored effects has a beautiful shimmer to it versus just your traditional flat silver paint. Once you also peel off all of your tape, you're going to inevitably have a little bit of like bleed over or things that you need to crispen up the lines with. So for that, I'm using a little bit of acetone. I've got a Q-tip that I dipped in a little bit of acetone to remove. Spray paint usually needs acetone. You can sometimes use the rubbing alcohol, but this particular paint was not having it. Then to add a little more, since we're going with Glamoween, I am adding a little bit of hot glue and these rhinestones that I had here on each of the little corner sections of the spider web. I think it would have been cool too if I had a little blingy spider to add on there. I just didn't have any left for this season. And this is how it came out. This cute kitty bust was at HomeGoods for $19.99. And I love the concept. I just hate that it is all black and white. There's not much contrast, and we're going Glamoween. So let's get into it. So I'm taking this folk art chalk paint in white, this satin black that's in the folk art, citrus green, also by folk art, Deco Art Americana. This is called like dioxazine purple. I never pronounced this right, probably. And then this red that I have from Waverly, and this gold. This one is Mayan gold from folk art. And I want this to look more royal, of course, because I'm doing Glamoween, right? So we got to glamour up. So first, for all the vest part, I'm using my Waverly Red. And you can use like a primer or a chalk paint all around first before you do this. It will help the paint to adhere a little bit better. I didn't, and with this Waverly, this did take me 2 coats. I then took the purple and did the little sleeves there on the side and the middle so that that's all like the second layer or the shirt. Now, whenever they paint from the factory, they also do all these like little edges that are just not crisp and not really detailed because, of course, it's going through some, machine, I'm sure, or someone's just painting it very quickly. But if you want it to look better and more high-end, you're going to bring that in. And look at even just doing this white versus like the off-white kind of color it was. It's so crisp and it makes all the colors pop. I didn't want to take a lot of time showing y'all how to paint. I just wanted to show you the idea, because you can definitely take these and you can also use old decor and make it new again, especially in this economy, right? So if you have things laying around, just make them new. A little bit of refresh with paint is like a huge difference. And look at how much better she already looks. The next piece I found that had loads of potential is from Marshalls for $12.99. This is a skull by Christian Siriano, and it has the crown and it's got black and white checks on here. But as nice as it does have, like in the eye sockets, it's got more gold on one side than the other in the eye socket. And also it could use just a little bit more zhuzh to put it over the top, because you know I like everything to be a little extra. So I'm taking that same folk art Mayan gold and I'm taking a brush on just the black parts and adding a little bit of gold in just along the edges. If you really like Mackenzie Child stuff, this would be a great piece to find and make look like hers too. She usually drags a little bit of white through the black squares, so if you wanted to change it to that. Or for those of you that are going with the pastel colors this year, because these black squares are actually raised up, this would be super easy to even transition and change it from being black and gold to being a little bit lighter and going with like your pinks or your blues. And I know not everyone likes the pastels, but to each their own. That's the great thing about paint and about options, is that we can all get what makes us happy. So I'm going to take not only the gold around these little black spaces, I'm going to then do the gold to fill in the eye socket, and I'm going to add some gold just around the crown because it has like a lot of dark in there. Look at how cool the gold looks too. I mean, every way the light hits it, like a little bit different. And I also put some lighter gold all in the middle of the crown because it had a lot of black mixed in. I also took the black folk art paint and I did all the harlequins over and a little black dot in each of these areas just to crispen those lines up as well and to make it a deeper, darker color. Once all that is done, as if he wasn't enough, I figured, hey, I still got these rhinestones, right? So why not do something with them? So I took and added rhinestones into the top and bottom of the harlequins and these little dots. And look at that, they even forgot one. So luckily I added that so it doesn't look like out of place, like something's missing. And then I took larger little blingy pieces and I added them into all of the white squares. So, I mean, if we're going, Glamoween and we're going extra, let's just go all the way, right? I am loving him. Look at how cute. I cannot wait to put him with everything else when we do all the blingy and he's surrounded by beautiful flowers.